one she did
Yeah.
tell her I was here and I missed her.
I think I heard your voice on the radio just about all day long.
Oh, my God, really?
Important.
No,
What happened was,
Cousin Ruckus.
I'm sure, I do cause the ruckus.
you got famous in just a couple of minutes.
No.
How many times was he on your record?
Huh?
How many times was he on there?
He's on there a couple times, at least. Maybe a couple dozen.
Actually, I gave John my stuff.
They can stretch one interview out for an awful long time.
Yeah, I gave John my stuff.
I think the counter, if he's on.
I think I saw him in the hallway.
Well, what's your name, stranger? This one down here, Icy? Hi. Nice to see you. Did everybody get these? Did you get this on? I'll let you look at it and then let's see. Perhaps show it around. Let me show it to Don real quick and then I'll bring it back.
I have it on my phone, so I use it.
It changed on the building.
They're already here.
You see it? These weren't sent out in your packets? Huh?
No, they were.
Yeah.
What is it, the picture?
I'm sorry. Should come back to you, Mr. President.
Okay.
It's been a good while. Yeah.
You've already seen that, okay.
Okay. Official time is on. Okay, we'll call the meetings September 9th, City Board of Zoning Appeals to order. Roll call for attendance.
Richard Green,
Here.
John Gilmore,
Here.
David Hussey,
Present.
Isaac Chavez, Kevin Myers.
Here. Okay, we have minutes from August 19th meeting. I'm hoping everybody got a chance to read these. They take a long time to read these right now, at least for me.
You'd make sure you read them when
Yeah, I would. So, you have a motion to approve or amend?
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call?
Richard Pino,
Aye.
John Gilmore,
Abstain.
David Hussey,
Aye.
Isaac Chavez,
Aye.
and Kevin Myers.
Aye. Okay. We have opened the public hearing, Outfit 2020-11, Anthony Hinton, owner of the Old Spirit Shop, asked for a variance of developmental standards to legalize a wall graphic on an on-premise sign in the Crosstown Overlay District. The sign exceeds the maximum square footage allowed by ordinance. Don, can you?
Kevin,
Yes.
before you get started there, Anthony, he goes with my wife's granddaughter. So I want to make sure that there's no conflict of interest. And
I don't believe that would be at all. So, everybody good with that?
Just gotta. Do you have a challenge with Richard being on here making?
No, Richard's fair and honest person.
All right, good. Don?
Very good. The applicant, of course, is Anthony Hinton. The address is 1004 South Jackson Street here in Franklin. The request is a variance of developmental standards. Said petitioner is requesting an approval of a variance of developmental standards to legalize a wall graphic on-premise sign in the Crosstown Overlay District. By ordinance, you can have 4 square foot of wall signage per 1 foot of frontage. Jackson Street side is 31 foot long, which allows up to 124 square foot of signage. The existing sign on the Jackson Street sign is 10 foot 8 inches tall, 31 inches long, totaling 310 square foot. The main avenue side of the building is the same length, 31 foot long, allowing for 124 square foot of signage. The existing sign on Main Avenue is 134 square foot. And the reason for that is that on the sign where it says best selection, the best selection on the Main Street side is a lot smaller than the best selection on the Jackson Street side. So that's why the total difference is difference in the footage. Signage permit in business and industrial districts allow signage. On-premise sign is a sign that's permitted in business and industrial districts. The following signs are permitted in business and industrial districts, subject to the standards set forth below. All signs require a permit except for those in Division A. So it's number 2, signs may have up to 4 square foot of each foot of frontage. That's what it is that we're here to discuss. The zoning is in a C residential zoning. The request is for lot number 7 in the Hoover and Lee edition of the city of Frankfort, as the same as recorded on plot record 2, old page 12, except 35 feet in uniform width off the entire north end thereof, commonly known as 1004 South Jackson Street. The need for the variance arises because the existing wall graphic on-premise sign on both Jackson Street and Main Street exceeds the standards for a wall graphic on-premise sign. So the variance can be approved under this section if, after a public hearing, the board makes findings of facts in writing. Now, I'm going to stop right there and I'm going to talk a little bit about our recommendation is to deny this. If this board decides that they want to accept the findings or accept the wall graphic and approve it, then once again, you'll have to make sure that your findings qualify for the acceptance of the approval of the standards of the change. And if you agree with me, then it is to deny the process. The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community. This on-premise sign, painted on the side of the Ye-Olde Spirit Shop on the east and west side of the building, located in C residential zoning district. There are various mixed uses in this area on Jackson Street side with a dentist office, rental office, education campuses, and other businesses. On both sides of this property, there are plenty of residential homes. This sign has drastically improved the facade of this building, and the owner has received many compliments on the graphic art. By definition, graphic art is for the purpose of improving a blank or dilapidated building surface, enhancing architectural detail, or generally intended to improve the visual aspect of the community. It should not directly be injurious to the public health, safety, general welfare of the community. So we agree with that. Number 2, the use of the value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the surrounding area is zoned C residential and has multiple mixed uses. The wall graphic sign is allowed to be placed via building permit. It will not adversely affect the adjacent properties. This is where we have to deny the recommendation is on the last finding. The strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. A strict application of the zoning ordinance will not result in practical difficulties for this property. If the owner would like to make the sign legal, they would just need to conform to the 4 square foot of signage for every 1 foot of the building frontage. According to the dimensions of the sign, 1 square foot of signage would need to be revoked to make it compliant. So basically, to make it compliant on both sides, if you were to remove best selection, we wouldn't be here this evening. It would be a permittable on wall graphic sign. So because I can't make all 3 of them work out, I have to say, I'm asking you to deny this variance. What I do want to say is that if in your decisions that I am completely wrong in mine and you want to approve it, I ask that, just like in most of the signs that we have come before you in the previous, is that you allow us to be able to keep watch on the sign when it becomes a sign that becomes disrepaired or does no longer look proper or needs to be adhered to, that you grant us that ability to make those decisions. So that's my recommendation. If you should pass it, my recommendation is to deny it because it doesn't result in a strict application and causing challenges to his as a business.
Okay, thank you, John. Ted? Anyone? Right now, we'll have an opportunity again. Does anyone have any questions for Don right now on anything?
So Don, as under number 3 there, you would need to remove 1 foot by 1 foot square of the sign to make it compliant?
He would need to come on both sides of the wall. He has part of the sign that says best selection. And on the Jackson Street side, that side is a lot larger than what's on the Main Street side. But that is the best selection that's on the wall in that picture. If that was removed, then everything becomes proper. I wouldn't be here this evening. I've spoken with them about it. They said that's the best part of the sign is best selection. And so that's why we're here this evening, to discuss your giving the ability to grant that part of the sign to stay.
Do you have a picture of both sides?
I don't know if I thought
Because this is the Main Street side, if I'm
It
not
is.
mistaken.
Give me 1 second. Let me see. The answer is I do.
I want the Jackson Street. You're on Main now.
Nope. See,
That's Main.
there's a door right there, and that's a smaller best selection sign.
Okay, but isn't that on the Main Street side?
That's on the Main Street side.
I want the Jackson Street.
Oh, wasn't it in there?
No. There's only pictures of the property and there wasn't actually pictures of the sign.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay.
Sorry, I apologize. I thought,
May I pass this around?
you sure can.
Yeah.
I thought both pictures were included.
Yeah. You kept trying to make me think it was.
Well, it's not like me not to give you a complete packet.
Take this best selection off on both sides, will that qualify both sides?
It would.
He would, but he doesn't want to do that.
Well,
Okay, let's go ahead and, you got anything you want to say?
No, I told him, we went to a different meeting, whatever. I was painting on the building for over a year. And we didn't know, this guy just started stopping in the store, with this shutdown everybody had. So we paint. I told him no 3 or 4 times. And eventually we said, yeah, you can paint. We told him what to paint, coldest beer, best selection. I had no idea. I'd come outside the store and the best selection just absolutely humongous. And, you know, I said, well, okay, it looks all right. I said, nobody told me, I mean, I didn't know there's specific colors I can paint my building. He never informed me of that either. So I've been painting on it for a year. Nobody stopped to say, hey, let's, you know, what color are you gonna paint it?
What determines the size of the sign? So this on a building a whole lot more than what,
Yeah, so what we do is we measure where the sign is, everything that's on the sign. And if, like I say, if best selection was not there, then all this would measure under the required 4 square feet for 1 foot of frontage. Then we would have permitted the sign, and he wouldn't have been here today. Even the word beer is fine. It would, all that would be fine. It's just that best selection puts it over the hump because of how big it is. On the other side, it's the same thing. If best selection was on the Main Street side and that was gone, that too would come under compliance as it would fit under the 4 square foot for 1 foot of frontage.
Is there any way to, I mean, you leave the best selection on there, even if it would be made smaller, would that? I'm just feeling that out.
And I would say there's a possibility for that. It would definitely be, if it was smaller on this side, it could potentially stay the same. I would have to go out and do the measurement on how small it would have to be. On the other side, as the pictures that you have, I think it would just has to be eliminated, yeah.
Because
You know, what makes this all difficult is the fact that he's had neighbors and people talk about how nice his building looks. And I get all that. I mean, in all reality, I don't have a problem with it at all, other than the fact it doesn't meet the variance or it doesn't meet the standard, and because I can't come up with any type of a saying or that depicts the fact that if it wasn't there, it wouldn't affect anything that's going on with his business. I have to say deny. And if you were to just listen, I'd be happy to work with him to try to get it down to size. When I came back and spoke, I didn't speak with Anthony the last time. I spoke with his girlfriend, and she said, "That's the best part of the sign." No, we're not going to take it off. I said, "Well, then we'll go before the board. We'll roll the dice and see what they have to say." And that's why we're here today. But I mean, I don't have any challenge at all with the sign, other than that it doesn't meet the standard that's required, and so that causes you guys to make a decision on what you want to do.
Wonder if he would be willing to do something with the Jackson Street side, and we could grant him a variance because he's only 10 foot out on
The other side is just hardly anything.
Yeah, so we could definitely grant him a variance for the other side if he do something to work on the Jackson Street. Would that be feasible?
I don't have a challenge with it. I mean, that's your guys' call.
Okay.
Both sides are over the standard as we speak right now.
Anthony, can you bring that Jackson Street sign down on that?
Yeah, if I remove the trees on that way,
No,
you'd be
just say
able
remove
to
it.
see the sign. It could be smaller. The trees right there that the city planted are blocking a lot of my building when people drive by. They don't even know I'm there. So if I take them down, then yeah, I could possibly make the sign smaller. If I take them 3 trees down on my property.
Way that state, so.
Well,
Well, that's turned over to the city. You're right.
yeah, I mean, he's responsible for the trees that are on his property.
Because people people coming into town can't, I mean, they're by my building, don't even see it, because them trees right there.
Right, that looks nice.
But that's,
I mean, I personally, the sign is, I mean, I totally get where you're coming from. But to me, the sign looks good. If there's some adjustment, and I did notice the trees. I mean, he's responsible for those trees. If one of them dies, who pays to remove that tree, you know? He's gonna have to do that. So if they're affecting his business, I don't think that's something for this board to even talk about. If he wants to remove those trees, he can remove those trees. That's not us. So, you know, anybody else got anything on?
I don't think that's the meaning for their sign if you took that best electrical. I think you already got their attention with the big sign.
I just want to be clear on the Jackson Street side. If the best selection was made smaller, you know, would it be in compliance?
Yeah, it would, I mean, it would have to come within, well, it's gotta get down to 124 square foot of signage. He's at 310 there, so let's do the math real quick. You gotta come down to about 186 square foot. And, I mean, I think that it's possible that I, without being out there and doing all my measurements, he's got enough wall there that's not covered that could potentially make it work. But it'd be one of these things that I'd have to do measurements to say that. But I mean, I think that it could potentially be that.
Well, obviously, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and, did anybody have any other thing, anything else you want to say, anything?
no,
Okay, then, does the board have any more comments or questions to ask of Don or Anthony? Then I think that we need to discuss this, you know, ourselves, rather than to close the public hearing.
Now, do we have the power to grant him a variance if he takes this call?
He would need a variance.
He would need a variance.
Okay, that's why I'm doing it. So we got into that one other time. We
Yeah,
did right.
well, you're looking at the Main Street, which is not the bad side, but Jackson Street is where he's way out of footage.
Okay, so we close the public hearing, and let's go through this checklist and discuss this. So we're giving a notice.
Yes. It was in the Frankfurt Times on August 26, 2020. And it was mailed out to the property owners within 100 feet of that property on August 27th, 2020.
Okay, and we've already agreed that there is no conflict of interest.
Okay.
Excuse me. And we definitely have a quorum tonight. So we can entertain a motion to approve or deny. Keep in mind that we have further discussion. I'm not trying to shut anybody off at all. But we need to make sure whatever motion we make includes the finding of facts in the staff report, or we have to make our own if we just disagree with all or part of the staff report. So, what's the other stuff?
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
I'm sitting over here thinking about this. And the bottom line is that if you deny the variance, this means that it doesn't doesn't mean that the sign has to come down. That does give us well, it does mean that, but it gives me the ability to negotiate the message on the side if he wants to do that. I mean, his option will be either try to figure out with me how the sign can work or remove the sign if you deny the variance. If you decide that you're going to approve it, you can use two of my findings, because two of my findings approves the sign being there. You have to come up with the last finding to change that would cause him to have, if it wasn't there, reputable business. So whichever way you want to go, if you decide that you want to allow him to keep it, then please allow us the ability to keep watch on it. If it needs to be painted or taken care of, we can do that. If you deny it, then that means that Anthony and I can sit down and discuss how the sign can look and move. Like, we can go back and try to do all those figuring out. So whichever way you go, we can either make it work, or you can, or he'll take it off.
Well, to me, you know, I disagree with, you know, that it will not resolve practical difficulties. You know, he's already got it there. So, but then again, I think his whole point, well taken, I think, was the fact that the trees partially block the side of the building where his sign is.
Well, just when you're coming in town from Lebanon, because it's at that angle.
So, a good question though is, did he come up for a sign permit before this was ever done? I guess that's a good question to ask.
No, this was done over COVID. Everything was shut down. You couldn't do nothing.
And I don't believe that happened. No.
So if he hasn't come for a sign permit tonight, and we would approve this, he's still gonna have to come for a sign permit. Is that correct, John?
You would have to get a sign, yes.
Oh, I thought we paid. No, that was for the,
Yeah, that was to come here.
yeah, to run the paper.
Well, my mind's just saying that one of his concerns was the trees. Okay, and that's nothing to do with the board. I just want to bring it up, the fact that if the trees weren't there, then that would take away the need for that, maybe that part of the sign be so big.
He could move you're saying he could move it, yeah, he could.
Yeah, he could adjust, and that could
Because the reason it's
bring
down there
it.
because of the tree is what you're saying.
Well, I think that's part of the reason. I think it's because they do block part of the sign from a different direction. My own opinion is, you know, we got a reputable business in town, and the last thing, you know, this year that we need to do is put undue hardship on
I agree with you.
anybody, and that's just my opinion. So, but I'll let you guys.
But I think before we talk, if we're going to deny the Jackson Street side, we ought to maybe let that Main Street have a variance. It's only 10 square feet out on the Main Street side, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct? So we might want to, if it's going to be denied, then I'd say it's let him have a variance for that Main Street side.
Well, I'll need to have a motion to approve or deny, and however you want to apply that motion. I have time for further discussion too.
No, if we were to, for this variance to be approved, if we were to go back and find this in writing, what would be the next step? Basically, just to address the total that sign to be legal. This question. So for his sign to be legal, and we will approve it. So for us, don't we have to go back and change where his area where the sign is?
You'd have to change the last one.
Yeah, you just have to say, you have to say why you disagree with,
Why do you think it would be injurious? Or right, it would hinder,
The very last,
Practical difficulty.
Yeah,
Number three.
practical difficulties in the use of the property.
So you would just
By
basically,
not allowing his sign to be there, you gotta find practical difficulties in use.
so you just have to verbalize why you think it'd be difficult for him to change the sign. And then they put it in the minutes and go from there.
From my understanding, I don't think it would be difficult for you to change your sign. Well, it would, not really. But the reason for your signs like that is because of the way it's, for the perspective of it, the way it's coming in versus leaving, right? The way the cars are coming in. So in order for that to not to be difficult, would we just say that we don't believe it's that way because the owner chose to do that for, would it be for marketing, like marketing reasons? We can say that. Does that make sense?
And yeah, in theory, yeah. Because it's not asking for undue hardship on changing the sign, it's asking if it would cause undue hardship on operation of the business. Right, is that correct?
If the sign wasn't there, would he still be able to operate his business?
Right. Or if you had to take the sign down, or like, you know, to go through the process of taking the sign down, would he still be able to operate his business?
So
How many years have you been in business?
I've been in business for 5 years, and every day I get a new customer in there from out of town saying, hey, I didn't know this place existed. I've taken business from Lafayette, Lebanon, and I got people driving up from Carmel. And that's just come visit this town.
So if we were to say that, we would say it would not be difficult for him.
Let me see if I can come up with that. Not a particular one on this, but we would have to show that if the sign, if you remove the sign from his building, you'd have to tell what type of damage it would cause his business if that sign got removed.
I think obviously it would be a financial loss.
You can't use costs in your decision making.
Well, I mean, to do the sign.
Yeah, I know, but we can't do that.
You may be able to say that the potential of clients that he's gained because of the notification of his building may be a reason that would potentially cause injuries to his business. You know, obviously he said that he's had more people come up to him or I don't want to say he has increased clients to his place because what he's done has brought recognition to his property. And now by removing that sign, do you consider that that would cause him not to have people stop by because they don't recognize his store, they don't recognize, and it would potentially cost him a business. You just got to make sure you can't put any type of a financial cost to it. That has no particular place in your decision.
So, what's the wishes of the board?
No,
And if we were to go and deny this, basically, he would go into getting the, not necessarily an application, but following our guidelines, he would adjust his sign, correct?
It would either cause him
He could
to
still,
readjust the sign or take it down.
he could still maintain following our guidelines, he could still use his same words, same marking, and whatever his sign says.
You can,
Spirit shop would stay, or,
yeah, you can approve the variance by changing the last findings. And, you know, now that you've garnered information from him and the fact that he said he's had more clients stop by, his business has increased more by what he did to the building, by making it recognizable, that he's had more people stop for his business than any time prior. That could constitute, removing that sign could damage. I'm not looking at it that way because I don't have those facts in front of me. He's now presented facts that say that because he's done what he's done to his building on the outside, he now has people who've said, man, I didn't even know this place existed. So potentially removing the sign could cost his business that he has. So I'm just saying that when we put this together, I had no reason for it. I mean, if the sign came down for me, his business would still exist, it'd still run forward, he'd still have the doors open, but he may have said something that now maybe makes it different than that.
So could we make a variance for him to make his sign legal, but following the 4 square foot per 1 square foot?
See, you don't need to do that. Basically, all you need to do is approve or deny
That's correct.
the request to have his sign this big. You're not gonna tell him what to do with the sign, you're not gonna tell him what to write on the sign. You just had to say, you either don't have to follow the size recommendation or you do. That's all we're looking for.
yeah, or we can deny one side and approve and give a variance for the other.
Or you can do that.
But we do have to change the wording in the strict
You may have to,
terms in the zoning ordinance.
but we have the right to do that.
Mhm.
So are we ready for motion?
Yes.
We are ready for a motion.
I would like to make a motion to approve his variance. Now, do we just go off?
You don't need to read all of them, just the change of
Number
number 3, correct?
I see that number 3. That district application docket 2020 11, that the application of terms of zoning ordinance, the trees, that, I don't know how to say that, the surface,
So here's this is the wording of the ordinance, right here. This is what they need. So this we need to go with.
okay, there you go. Ready? Okay, so the strict of this application of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties for this property due to the trees. If the owner would like to make the sign legal, they would need to conform to the 4 square foot signage for every 1 foot building frontage. According to the dimensions of this sign, 1 square foot of signage will need to be removed to make it compliant. But we're making a variance saying you do not have to do that, correct?
That's correct.
So we are making a variance to prove that you don't have to follow that. So the variance of this development standard should be approved to the subject findings of fact of this staff report.
Got to change the number 3.
With the addendum, yeah. You didn't specify why you think it would be, it would cause difficulty for operation of the business.
Partly because that he brought forward the fact that the sign is drawing business. it wasn't doing before, he had to sign. That he brought in business.
So this application of term zoning ordinance will not result in practical difficulties
No,
in the use of that property.
So what you basically have to have is a reason why you feel that it's not going, that it would damage his, by removing the sign, it would damage his business. That's what
Yeah.
that's what you have to say. What you feel like.
Okay, so this application of term zone ordinance will not result in practical difficulties of use of the property because the removal of this sign will not.
just say that you believe
Okay,
that the strict use or strict application of this ordinance would be or would cause, hang on a second. I was gonna say, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance would result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because.
And you put
Does that make sense? And then you explain why you think it would cause practical difficulties for you.
okay. So this strict application of terms of zoning ordinance will not result in practical difficulties.
Will, yes, it will.
Okay, this application in terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because I believe the removal of this sign will not continue his business moving forward. Is that correct?
Read that last part again, would you please?
Because I believe the removal of this sign would affect his business.
And, yeah, as I think explained by the petitioner, that the sign has attracted.
And that with this sign being put up, he has been able to still operate with new or additional signs that have benefited his property.
And you're hitting on all, you bounce around. Basically what you want to say is that after said petitioner has mentioned that his business has increased since the sign's been put up, that by removing the sign, it could potentially remove clients because of the fact that they didn't know he existed there until he did all the work that he did to the sign.
Or if removing the sign could cost loss of revenue.
I want to say revenue has cost, has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the fact that it would affect his business as clients wouldn't recognize that what he was selling. Yeah, so you gotta leave costs, that has nothing to do with it, but he has the potential of losing clients or business because of the things he's done, the comments that he's made about the number of people that have stopped by, now recognizing his business in place because of the signage.
Okay,
Does that sound,
yeah, definitely. So
if we get that, I mean, we've not put it in their mind.
We'll get it in the notes. Well, that's a great point, actually. Would you consider the fact that people wouldn't recognize his business, which would cost?
No, I was just saying maybe just explain to him that he's trying to explain how it would affect
Yeah.
the business.
You have to show that it'll affect his business, how it makes it difficult for him. And what makes it difficult for him is he's proven to you, well, that his business has increased since he's done his work to the property. And so the potential of the decrease in business because of not recognizing his business exists would be detriment to his business.
You wanna repeat all that out?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been recorded. We'll work it out.
Okay, so, all right, so we have a motion, we will not ask Susan to read it back. We have a motion to approve the variance. Thank you, Richard. So we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. Do we have any further discussion? Roll call.
Richard Greeno,
Aye.
Don Gilmore,
Aye.
David Hussey,
Nay.
Isaac Chavez,
Aye.
Kevin Myers.
Aye. So the variance has been approved. Do we have any other business before the board tonight? Motion to adjourn.
We don't have any other business?
Yeah.
No, we do not have any more.
Is it 35?
This is the only one on the docket that will be here.
Sorry, they canceled today. It's
$2
only
per square foot per face.
She said we
If
share
it's
it all.
over 32 pounds.
Okay. Just need to make it.
the reviews on.
I can see.
Tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I'll have mom call you.
The,
Not doing anything. It's perfect, perfect. And we'll get it all set up.
What about the, are we still doing that class?
Yeah.
This is 16. Okay.
I would strongly encourage, well, if you can, I strongly encourage, to be here.
If you were this time.
Yeah, I believe it would be, even for a home time.
Yeah.
I got a medical procedure the day before the kids start me, but at this moment I plan to be there.